All right, we've weighed in a little bit right now. Let's go to New York City and weigh in a little bit. Steve Malzberg, veteran commentator, also the gentleman who hosts the Steve Malzberg Show right here on Newsmax Television, weeknights. All right, Steve, we've been knocking this around a little bit. You were doing the same thing here. First reaction, what did you see?
Well, you've been doing a great job, and thank you, guys. Great to see you. Well, I think that Carly Fiorina, in her first real exposure to the public, don't forget she wasn't in the first debate, I think she just knocked it out of the park on every level possible. I was most impressed, to be quite honest with you, in a slew of impressive statements when she talked about how we need to rebuild the Sixth Fleet, how we need to put the missile defenses back in Poland, and she gave her, her solution to how to battle Putin. I was very impressed with that. I thought she proved herself to be well-rounded, well-informed on every issue, from the economy to foreign policy to taking on Donald Trump. Now, having said all that, I don't think any Trump supporter is going to change his or her mind and say, Carly Fiorina won the debate, I'm switching to Carly. Or they might say she won the debate, but they're not going to switch to Carly Fiorina. But I think she did herself a world of good nationally. And I could go through the other 11 candidates, but we have more prominent voices than mine sitting here who I know we all want to hear from. And let's start with the CEO of Newsmax Media, and that would be the one and only Chris Ruddy. Great to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Steve.
All right, so
I think this is the first time I've been on TV with you.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yes. But we've certainly been on radio together.
Absolutely.
I'm actually the warm-up back for Dick Morris, and so I'm supposed to do it's Borscht Belt stuff. But it's funny. I agree with all my hosts. On Newsmax TV. I'm the CEO of Newsmax TV, so I'm just here to sort of watch the cooking going on.
He has a nameplate, Big Macha. Yeah, zero.
That's an inside New York joke. But the funny thing is, Ed was saying Donald didn't give a great performance. I don't think his performance was what we're typically used to from Donald Trump. He looked a little tired. I'm wondering, jet lag coming in. He's not a guy that'll go into a city and wait for 3 days. He flies in and does his thing. Jeb Bush, JD was saying he wasn't up to par. He was definitely weaker. And Carly, I think, was the clear winner tonight. Not that there was any super winner, but I agree with you, Steve. I think she cut through. She seemed very clear. She seemed very focused and refreshing. Yes, I would use that word.
Absolutely. And as the only woman on the stage, I think that might have added something to it as well. Dick?
Well, you have to analyze the debate in terms of the contest for president, because it's relevant in that sense. I believe that the dominant question coming into the debate was, can Carson overtake Trump? And I think Carson screwed that up. I think he was way too laid back. When he said that we shouldn't have invaded Afghanistan after 9/11, I just think he lost big support, and he was the big loser. The second loser was Bush, because I think by his comparison with Trump, he looked squeaky, he looked weak, he looked timid, his replies weren't good, and I think he hurt himself very badly. Now, if you accept the concept that Carson did badly, that means Fiorina's performance is even better, because Fiorina's appealing to the anti-politician, anti-Trump vote. Right. I don't want politicians, but I don't want Trump. Maybe I'll go with Carson. Now maybe I'll go with Fiorina. When Bush did poorly, that's going to help Christie and Kasich, who are his two rivals for mainstream centrist support. I thought Walker looked very marginal. I thought that Ryan Paul made himself totally irrelevant. I thought that Rubio did well, and I thought Cruz did the best of all of them up there. Cruz didn't speak much, but when he did, he just hit it out of the park. 6 or 7 answers that are just unbelievable. The Supreme Court answer, the Planned Parenthood answer,
how he represented Texas in the Supreme Court,
tear up the Iran deal.
Yes. All
that stuff was magnificent. So in the kind of mini primary on the right of Walker, Rubio, Huckabee, Cruz, I think that at this point, Cruz moved out ahead, but Rubio's right up there with him.
We want to hear from our viewers, and we were just chatting what the web address is where you can do the instant poll on Newsmax. And the web address, you can go right now to newsmaxpolls.com, all one word, newsmaxpolls, Polls.com, and you tell us we're going to have in very shortly the results on the instant poll.
Yeah, very excited to hear that.
You know, my view on Jeb is I thought Jeb was a great governor of Florida. He is a good conservative, but it's not coming through. When he made the defense of Justice Roberts and said he had a great record, Justice Roberts has a terrible record. And the Obamacare, the fact that he claimed there was a constitutional right for the government to force us to buy a private product, which clearly violates the Constitution. And he initially had apparently said in some of the initial meetings in the court review that he was going to oppose it. In the last minute, he supported it. Yeah. The gay marriage. Whatever you think about gay marriage, the institution of marriage has been long regulated by the states.
Right.
It's clearly in the 10th Amendment. Things not mentioned in the
health issue is a whole other ball game.
And for him to make that rule. So there's a lot of issues conservatives just, and I think he's resonating this weakness with conservatives where I think someone like Ben Carson seems like he's the reliable person. I think Ted Cruz came across as the smartest guy in the room.
And he probably is. We should have the Chris and Dick show because you were like chomping at the bit on every word that Chris said. Go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to say that I think that Trump did well. I don't think it was his best performance, but it was good enough. I think he'll keep his lead in the polls. I would expect that our viewers probably would give him the win.
But Dick, don't you think that Donald Trump is supported, that he's an outsider, he's a strong guy, all of that, but when he supports Planned Parenthood, which is the base of the party right now, I think it hurts the party probably in the general election to be against funding. But the base of the party does not want to fund Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
And he's so strongly in favor of that. Don't you think that it hurts him?
Well, I think that the main thing that emerged with Trump is that he tried to be more presidential. He tried to be less of a trigger-happy guy, and I think that worked nicely. He was under a lot of fire all debate, and he handled himself well.
I agree.
But that having been said, I think the net result of this will be to move Fiorina up, move Cruz up, move Walker up, not Walker, Rubio, move Bush down, move Kasich and Christie up.
I think Kasich is the sleeper candidate, incredible governor of Ohio.
Oh, absolutely.
Consistent conservative, not a perfect conservative, but somebody that has a record of winning. And so at the end of the day, I mean, Kasich, Fiorina could be a very strong ticket.
I don't think Kasich is going to win this nomination. A governor of Ohio who approved Obamacare, expanded Medicare to Medicaid to 3 million new people. When Roberts gave him the option of not doing it, in Ohio he ran like a Democrat, and he hasn't stopped. And here he opposed the wall, he opposed amnesty, he opposed deportation.
We have to accept the gay marriage ruling, the Kentucky case.
He's a useful alternative to Bush, and as Bush fades, he and Christie may move up. But Kasich cannot win this nomination.
Well, I agree with a lot of what Dick says about Kasich. The problem is we're living in a country that is increasingly Democratic with the demographics. They have the electoral edge. So we now need to think of a candidate who is a core conservative that can go over. I thought Jeb initially was the guy to do that, but I'm not so sure that's the case. And I think Carly could do that because she's a woman. But you know, I don't think a traditional Huckabee-style candidate can win.
I thought she lost the Hewlett-Packard debate. And I think she has to win that debate.
I am going to have to end it there. I'm up against the clock. Great discussion. Chris Ruddy, Dick Morris. We're going to go back and send it to Florida to JD and Ed. When we return, don't forget, we want to hear from you. So, Chris, that website again?
Newsmaxpolls.com. Vote and let us know who you thought won.
We're coming back.